doing? It's Coach Delia and Angela coming to you live. So excited to share some awesomeness that's happening within ourselves that is probably being reflected in your world. So we're gonna share some information. We're gonna give everybody a chance to hop on. We are here to answer any questions. Please put them in the chat if you're watching from our YouTube or Facebook. Please make sure to participate as we're going to share again some awesome information. We just want to make sure that we're on. So if you guys can hear us, you guys can let us know. That would be great. And then we're going to just double check the social to make sure we're on there. Sound good? So how have you been, Angela? Share with me. How was your last week?
Well, it's been an interesting week, actually. It's been an interesting couple of weeks here. Yeah, I've been feeling all right. Haven't been sleeping really, hardly at all. Actually, not at all. And which is okay, I guess. It's not really that big of a deal for me. So it's not on any of my socials.
Not on your socials. Okay, I see that. Let's do this. Just to make sure, I want everybody to be able to see you and what's happening, and I want them to be on your socials. So we're going to do for today, because we're having some technical difficulties, I'm going to share from my page to yours to make sure that everybody can see what's happening.
Perfect.
Give me a chance to do that. Let me see here. This is fun.
So while she's doing that, I'm just going to chat a little bit here.
Right.
So it's been an interesting couple of weeks. Like, no sleep has been probably my biggest. I usually sleep quite well, but no sleep, a couple hours a night, maybe for the last probably 2 weeks at least. Well, ever since we actually started destruction of the amygdala, which has been about 2 weeks now, there was a huge crisis in consciousness in the conscious field, because I can see the conscious field. So I can see when things come in and disrupt or change things. So there was that on Sunday, which, we have Pluto in Aquarius now, and that, as we know, brings in a lot of energy and a lot of powerful energy. So, we have a lot of things energetically that are hitting us, right? And we either flow with them and respond accordingly, or we jump off the cliff and react to them. And so I think that we're going to probably start experiencing that a lot in our world. And we already are, but I think it's going to probably heat up a little bit. But we shouldn't really be afraid or see this as terrible things. Like, we know that things need to change in our world, because it's, it's just not a place where we can thrive. Like, really. We have the hierarchies, we have all of these biases, we have all these belief systems that really stem from 300 to 500 years ago that really don't serve us any longer as a human race, and as, people hopefully moving and growing. We're very stagnant as a society at large, and I love these kinds of energies because I get to change, and I get to change without very much work. I think that that's one of the things where, humans in general are afraid of change. They just like to repeat the patterns over and over. Yeah. But if you actually connect with these kinds of energies, it's real easy to change. Like, there's no strife, there's no struggle when you're connected to, the cosmos or the higher consciousness or your higher self, whatever it is. There's no strife involved when you're connected. So I want that to be really well known. And the amygdala plays highly into that, right? Like, this is our center of where we process, right? Like, that's the whole point of the amygdala. And it's been known to be really responsible for the processing of all of our fears and our anxieties. Oh, what a more perfect time to have Pluto come in. Right on time.
Yeah, right on time. Let's give them a little bit of a background on Pluto return. It is March 23rd. We had a bunch of events happening. We had a new moon, we had the equinox, and now it's the Pluto return. So it's been a very busy few weeks astrologically.
Yeah.
Background on Pluto about how technical difficulties. You guys bear with us. We'll figure it out for the next week. And
So,
if take a moment, Angela, I think you need to go and share. I tried to share to your public page and I couldn't.
yeah.
So we're gonna just have you guys all involved in what we're figuring out here. I have the link. I can send you that through text, but if you go onto either mine or the Empath Toolbox, you could share it to your public and we'll be live on your page as well. Apologies, you guys. We're gonna figure this out. Angela should be live on her stuff as well. So we're gonna figure out how to get that done. But so astrologically, a lot of you can probably, think about the last couple weeks and how some things have been kind of weird, let's say a little more extreme maybe than usual. And that has a lot to do with what's happening astrologically, the events that have taken place and the events that are predicted to take place. So as Angela mentioned, we're going to be talking about the amygdala today. And that is literally what governs or how it is that we react to the fear around us or inside of us. And we're going to really talk about the importance of making sure that you're aware of the things that you have to heal up. So I'm going to be talking about a couple of sensitive things today. So if you're listening, you might want to either take notes or depending on who you're going to share the video with, we'll put a banner up here to let you know we're going to talk about some sensitive stuff. So I'm really excited about the restructuring or rewiring of the amygdala to help us pretty much adapt to the changes that are taking place now and maybe how they're going to use fear to want to continue to control and manipulate us. When you look at it, and we're not going to get too scientific, but I'm really excited because my work is based in neuroscience. So we talk about uncovering different parts of the brain that create different responses. So I know that the only way to heal up trauma is to expose yourself to it. So a lot of us don't want to because it's uncomfortable and we just don't want to. But the way things are being rewired, it's going to make it easier for things to come to the surface. Now, what we do with it is what Angela and I are here for, to help mentor you, because there are going to be things that come up for you that are uncomfortable, but we have shortcuts. So it's not like, I'm a therapist and yes, I did talk therapy for a long time, still do, but I got into the energy work because I realized that a lot of the talking wasn't doing anything to heal up the deep wounds. So the work that we do will help you bring it to your awareness. We can actually spark it so it comes up and then help you heal it up. So we're never going to bring up any trauma for you that we're not going to help you heal up. I can say in my work almost instantly. Angela, I know the work that you do is also very, very amazing. So this is going to be a very important talk for a lot of you who have experienced a lot of trauma, because I want you to know that trauma robs you of the knowing that you can heal yourself. So some people can say, oh, well, I've experienced trauma, but it happened 20, 30, 40 years ago. It doesn't matter because your subconscious mind does not have concept of time. So if something triggers you, what happens is your body responds as if it's happening all over again. Even if you're not in the environment anymore, it could be a scent, it could be a touch, it could be just something that you see. So what we know what's going to happen is you're going to be triggered a lot to have your trauma brought up. And our goal is that you're equipped with the tools to use to be able to heal up the trauma as soon as it comes up, instead of running and running and running. One thing that comes up a lot, Angela, is that people say, like, I used to be so strong. I used to take so much, and now it feels like any small thing I'm falling apart over. So I use the example of, a glass of water. You can only take so much water before it overflows. And if you're the type, many of us have been, where we grab our trauma, we kind of shove it down and shove it down, it's only a matter of time before it overflows. And that's what I feel is happening right now with a lot of people, Angela. We're going to share a little bit about your experience too with your clients and what they're going through. But I really believe that buttons are going to start getting pushed to expose the trauma you've been tucking away. And I say that with the utmost respect, and I don't mean to instill fear, but we're here and smiling because we know what to do when it does come up, right? Mm-hmm. So take it away, Angela.
Well, I think that that's the beauty of Pluto energy moving into our consciousness right now, and there's a lot of fears out there about what Pluto is and what Pluto does and the energy that it brings to make change. It is well known that it does deal with our shadows, right? Like the parts of us that we don't want to deal with, whether we call those traumas, whether we call them shadows, whatever we want to call them, right? It does ignite it and bring it up. So instead of like trying to run away from it, right? Like Pluto's going to bring it front and center, and continue to trigger you until you actually deal with it and process through it.
Yeah.
And that's just what Pluto does. I mean, that's the energy of it. The deconstruction of the amygdala, though, and its ability to process fear and anxieties, I think that we need to like really explore that, because being able to process that, right, those all of our fears and all of our anxieties, um, means that we do have to look at what does create fear in us. What are the anxieties about? What are we afraid of? What have we experienced in our past that makes us afraid? um, I grew up in a household that was completely afraid of the world. I mean, they were afraid of every single thing, and they used alcohol to numb it. And they tried to teach me to be afraid of the world, which, in some aspects, yeah, in my early years, like there were things that I was afraid of, but when I encountered them, it was like total opposite for most of the part. And so, then it crushed those belief systems. It crushed that experience. Um, was it uncomfortable at the time? I think it was. I think I had more perception about it than the actual reality of it. And perception plays right into fears, right? Like that's how our fears get created in the first place, is through our perceptions. And what other people, like my parents, they experienced a lot of trauma. I'm not gonna, they experienced a lot of trauma coming over here. And their parents experienced a lot of trauma. And so, that was handed down, but my experience wasn't the same. And but my perceptions were based on their experiences.
Yeah. Why not borrow from them, right? It's kind of like their pair of glasses, and they literally give them to us, and they say, look through here. And we
Yeah.
don't know any better, so that's what we do until we get older and start questioning a few things.
Yeah.
Because it is uncomfortable, we want to be very sensitive to subjects and through experiences that you have had, right? And since the amygdala is responsible for, controlling the fear and the anxiety and whether or not you deal with it or run away, right? That fight or flight response. Because right now at this point, it's literally being restructured, rewired. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to face, I'm going to say we're going to, because there's no way all this is happening. We're not going to have the ability to face the things that come up, right? But I want to focus on I'm going to use the word survive lightly. And I want you to focus on how you survived the trauma instead of how it broke you. And so we're always going to go back on how you survived, which now we're going to teach you to thrive in, right? Because I have people all the time that says, well, it made me who I am. And I'm like, that's great, but it doesn't mean you have to continue to feel the emotions of the pain. And a lot of the techniques that we use, it literally neutralizes those negative memories. It doesn't matter on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the worst. If you have a memory that's, a 10 or one that's a 25, your heart heals the energy of it, because the heart has many centers. And recently we were informed that finally, even though we would always hope that the heart and the brain and the gut were all connected, it felt like everybody was everybody was for themselves. And now there's an alignment taking place where all three are connected. So we have three hearts in the brain, the actual heart, and in the gut. And before they talk about, we have a brain in each system as well, which controls the nervous system we talked about last week, right? So what happens is all this stuff is being rewired and restructured to literally make it easier for us to pursue those type of things that we've tried to run away from in the past. And as Angela has mentioned, there's a lot of talk about Pluto or whatever. Pluto goes in and out of different signs, but it's now coming into Aquarius. And what does Aquarian energy represent, right? Yay, that's humanity. So literally support teams are coming in from all angles. And so even though it's scary to think about it to face, we're getting to a point where we're not going to run anymore. We're just not going to run. It doesn't matter who did what to us, when it happened, whether or not you think it was your fault. We're going to get into all that later. But the thing is this, you have a lot of support moving forward. I mean, from every angle, and that's super exciting to me.
Mhm. Agree. I totally agree. We do know that there are certain things that are leaving because of the destruction of the amygdala and this new connection that's being created between the heart, behind the minds. So we have three different minds in the human field. We have the mental mind, we have the heart mind, which is the emotional mind, and then we have the intuitive center mind, which is the intuition. And those three are being connected to create what we can relate to, I suppose, as a new amygdala, but it's not really, it's an energetic connection that's being made versus having everything in separation as it was, before. And with that, though, we know that the amygdala is taking things with it, right? Like the old amygdala is taking things with it. One of those is this sense of hope that keeps the illusion of who we want to be, or the mask that we have created over time. It's taking that away. So not that it's taking away hope that there's a better world or a better sense of things, but it is going to start breaking down some of the paradigms, some of the belief systems, some of the ways where hope was used in the past that really harmed humanity. And so we do know that that is actually happening, that sense of hope that keeps us in an illusional space of not being authentic, not being true to oneself, not knowing who we are. That sense of hope, like those are all, like those harmed us.
Very much so. And it's funny because I think about how a lot of people have survived a lot of their trauma is that whole, and I don't want to say the word pretending, but it is kind of like the wizard behind the curtain, right? There's so many people that look right like they don't have, but we don't even know what their inside world looks like, but they look like happy-go-lucky normal people. But you'll have people that indulge, like you talk about alcohol, there's those that indulge in food and shopping. There's so many things. So all those things, you guys, that we used to use to help us, it's like literally the curtains are being wide open, right? And whatever you did to help support you, in that case, like those are all dying out as well. Those are all the old ways, and it goes along with the tree that we've been talking about. And it's just easier when I think about like the trees, like the branches, like there's so much detail in it, right? And even though it helped you survive for some time, you are going to be, and I hate to use the word forced, but that's kind of what it looks like, because I've been experiencing some things that are forcing me to move that are very uncomfortable. And I'm going to share them with you guys. But there are some things that are going to be happening to us in the physical body, right? Emotional and spiritual body. And I know that I'm going to touch on how everything's going to start aligning. So once you take care of one, everything else is going to kind of come in and fill in the gaps of whatever's taking place. And now this is a more sustainable way to thrive in your healing process after experiencing the traumas that you have, whether they were self-inflicted, whether they were a personal choice, whether they were inherited. Doesn't matter, you guys. They're all healed up the same way. There's times now where we know we'll remove curses and a bunch of contracts and stuff, and we don't even tell people, oh, so and so cursed you, or so. Why? Who cares, right? Like a lot of us, I know before back in the day, I was super nosy, like, what happened? When did it, how did it happen, or whatever. And now it's kind of like, you know what, just heal it up. And I think that's coming along with how we're being aligned and how these changes are taking place, because a lot of us are feeling physical symptoms from these changes in the amygdala. I have had severe headaches, pressure headaches. I am not prone to headaches. I don't experience headaches. I mean, once in a while I have a little pain, that's it. But there's a lot of sharp pains happening in the back of my head. I have a lot of pressure in the top of my head. So it's just kind of like somebody's poking. And there are times where I'm super, super dizzy. So if I'm sitting down or laying down, when I get out of bed, I have to be careful that I don't jump up right away, because I feel like something's happening in my head. And not that I like it, but it's confirmation that something's definitely taking place, because we are literally physically being taken care of to be able to create all this healing. And so I know that on an emotional level as well, and on the spiritual realm, there's a lot of support. We had a gathering, a full moon gathering, and we're going to talk more about the new moon gathering. And I was with 12 of my clients, and we're having like a little potluck hanging out. And I felt like there was some type of galactic meeting happening above us. So we're all sitting down on these tables having our great meal, and I literally felt a presence. And it wasn't like a presence like a spirit type. but it felt like there was a committee hanging out on top of us, Angela, and just kind of like, you guys got this. Like, how do we support you? What do we do? What do you guys want to do? And I even went around and asked everybody, what do you want to manifest in the next month? And we wrote things down, and just the support that was there, Angela. I had this feeling of them speaking like, if you're going to be doing this for humanity, what can we do for you guys? And I literally went around the tables. It was like, what do you guys want? What are we focusing on? And it just felt like there was this great support. So even though there's some aches and pains involved, you guys, there is definitely beautiful things being birthed because we are stepping up and experiencing these little headaches or weirdness that is happening. And it's also happening with my clients that I've activated that I shared with you guys. So sometimes, hey, I have this weird feeling, you know what? Focus on the healing. Thank you so much for letting me know what it is. You gotta go. Like you don't have to hang around for a long time just because it's happening, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, there are some physical ailments coming along with, transforming our own DNA and connecting with neutrinos, which we've talked about before. And the DNA has to change in order for us to rid ourselves of these old belief systems. I want to go back to a little bit to talk about hope a little bit longer. Getting rid of that within the amygdala, that whole false sense of who we were, destroy belief systems. And when we destroy belief systems, the physical body has to release that because it's all in our cellular memory, right? It's all in our cellular nucleus. And when the physical body has to release that, some of us have pain, some of us don't. The only physical ailment I would say is headaches. Like I have been having, I'm not one who ever has headaches, but recently, since we started this new journey, there have been several days, like yesterday was really bad. And so, you can direct the body and say, just ease up and stop making it so painful, make the process last a little longer and then the pain subsides. For me, I just want to get it over with and just move through it as quickly as possible. So I just allow the headaches. But, that goes with anything, any kind of an illness or a virus or any of those kinds of things. You can direct the body and tell it what to do. That's you being powerful in your body. Like the body isn't in control. You are in control, right? Like this is the biggest transformation I think for humanity is to know and understand that there is a part of us, the soul part or the energy part of who we are, that literally knows all and is directly connected to everything that exists. And we are the ones that hold the power. The body doesn't hold the power. The emotions don't hold the power. Our mental thoughts don't hold the power. There's not something out there elusive that holds a power over us, right? We are the ones who hold the power. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest belief systems that's going to have to go with this illusion of hope. And so as we're transforming through that, there can be physical problems, can be big awarenesses. Like on Sunday, it was very clear to me that have been living this false life my whole entire life.
I know, we're like dun dun dun.
I know, it was like, what? Okay. I try to be as authentic as possible, and I teach that, and I encourage that, and I empower that in other people. And here I am with this huge awareness of how inauthentic I have been my whole entire life.
All right, we're gonna have her touch on that because I think other people like it pops up and you're like, what the hell is this? Wait a minute. And it's not like it's on purpose. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, that little layer right there, go ahead and heal that up. What do you mean? And they're like, oh, let me zoom in. And oh, gotcha. Okay. That makes sense now, right?
Yeah. Well, I think when I felt that come in on Sunday with that crisis in consciousness, that really, so what happens energetically when I see these things, and maybe I already said this, is that I see this like big energy come in and it disrupts the energy field that we're currently in. And that's what I call a crisis in consciousness, is when we have these big disruptions in our awareness, like that came in and it was like, oh, you're being inauthentic. You've been inauthentic. Well, of course, because I know that I've known since I was a little girl that I'm here for this shift in consciousness and to help people work through this. And I know that there's a big shift happening in our consciousness, and I know that there's, I know that this is probably going to be happening. And so have I been living inauthentically? Absolutely, because I've been, trying to fit into humanity and doing all those things, not being in my full power. Every single one of us have been, right? And so as that came in, and it was like huge awareness, and I was like, okay, where do I need to change? I could have resisted that and said, oh no, I've been authentic my whole entire life. I mean, the ego could have taken over and said, oh no. That's where the resistance, that's what I really want to stress for everyone, is that resistance will cause you pain and suffering.
Oh, for sure. If you're suffering longer than, a couple, or just a couple of
Minutes.
minutes, I was like days, like no. If you're just, and we know when we resist, we don't like it. Like Angela said, it is an ego thing. Like, dang it, I've already changed so much. Why do I have to change? I have people all the time, like, why is it that I'm the one doing the work and that person that has a whole bunch of stuff that I'm stuff? I'm like, hey, you picked it, and I promise you it's worth it. Just hold a little bit longer. But it doesn't mean that we have to suffer for a long time, you guys. This is the shortcuts we're all talking about, right? There is a book called Quantum Doctor, and when Angela talks about the different minds and brains and everything, we have so many bodies, you guys, like 20 plus bodies, like in our freaking outer layering. So could you imagine, like, all the information is coming in, it's literally discombobulating. Like a client's like, I feel so discombobulated, I'm going back to bed. I'm like, go for it, because it feels really awkward. So think about it. You're being changed, your cells, all these different bodies, all these different dynamics, all the, and when Angela says she was living inauthentically, it's like, I think we just learn to adapt to the surroundings, right? So if it looks a certain way, it's kind of like a kid that wants to be liked at school, right? Oh, well, if they're smoking, drinking, or whatever, but you don't like it, but if you do, you might not be the big nerd, or they might accept you better. Kids start doing things to like be liked. And I think that because even though we're not of this world, we have to live in it. There are times where we just kind of, okay, well, I guess, it's a waiting game, and we'll just do this while we're waiting, or whatever. We talk about boredom or whatever. But I think that's happening more and more. And the things that you used to use to help you kind of pass the time are disappearing. That is going away. So this is the uncomfortableness, because it's kind of like, you have your arm like this, and all of a sudden this table goes away. You're like, like, what do I do?
What?
That's what it feels like. Like, for me anyway, it kind of feels that way. And we talk dimensionally, you guys. There are some weird things happening dimensionally. And I know a lot of you guys can agree with this. I went to Vegas. I was there on some projects, and I came back, and I literally felt like I passed the same town twice. And so there's this little town that has outlets on the way to Vegas. And I remember driving, and I saw these outlets. And then I saw a sign afterward that says outlet drive next. I'm like, that's stupid. Why would they put the sign after I passed the town? So lo and behold, the freaking little town appeared again. I'm like, so that happens, but I don't make a statement like, that was stupid. Why is the sign there? So I literally verbalized, why would they put a sign after I passed the freaking outlets? And then it dawned on me, holy crap, I passed by this town twice. And I'm not going to lie, it weirds me out. It still weirds me out, but it's kind of confirmation that things are being dismantled in a way. And this discombobulated feeling is because it's in consciousness. So I believe we'll become aware of it through our physical body or whatever. And we have the WTF moments. And then it's kind of like, yep, it's happening, adjust accordingly. So we're going to have to adjust again with these changes that are happening. And don't get fixed or too excited about staying there, because it's going to change again. So becoming flexible is huge, you guys, because a lot of things that are going to take place are going to require for you to stay flexible. We talked about belief systems. You'll believe something for a little bit, and then it's no good anymore. So guess what happens? You got to stop believing that and grab a new one. So it's like a freaking buffet, and it's happening at every mealtime.
Mm-hmm.
I know, it's exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time, but
yeah, I think that's again part of the amygdala being removed, is like our fears are going to change. The things that we used to be afraid of in the past, maybe we won't be afraid of any longer, but there probably will be new ones, like, this quantumness that's coming in, like passing that town twice. It's like, what do you mean? Right? Like that's a real thing. And I think we need to start acknowledging those things, that they are actually becoming a reality, because we are moving into, a different space and time. Like this is a whole different game that we're going to start playing here. So the fears will change. The anxieties will probably change. I know a lot of my clients have really big nervous systems, and they're
Yeah.
very active right now. So, do whatever it takes to calm that nervous system. Um, Meditations or calming exercises, breathing, walking in nature is a really, really good one, especially right now because nature seems to have this extreme calming effect for humans. Um, at the same time, it's having a little, I don't know, temper tantrum with all the storms and the, earthquakes and like everything. But you can find places, in nature that are very, very calming. Water in particular is very calming right now. The trees, the forests, those are very calming areas right now. Don't go to plains areas. They're wild in their energy right now, and they're going to get even more wild with tornado season coming up and those kinds of things. So, but there are places, not the high mountains, don't go there, because the energies are really intense in those places. So, you really got to the jungle right now is a good place to go because it's very calming, energies in the jungles. So there's places where we can go, to sort of help with that nervous system really relaxing. Or you can do breathing exercises every single day, float in a pool every day. Um, Use saunas or red light, again, is another avenue to calm the nervous system. Amethyst stones really help calm the nervous system. So, there's lots of things that we can do, and we need to be doing them every day. That's my recommendation, is do it every day.
It's stuff you already have at home, probably laying
Mhm.
around, or maybe you can drive and get the kids out. We accidentally took a trip to the mountains yesterday, and it was like loaded with snow. We're like, what the heck? But what was funny, Angela, is when I got home, my sweater or my hair, I don't know what's happening chemically in the environment or whatever, but there was snow, and I don't even know why there was so much snow. I've never seen so much snow in my life. It was in the mountains of Vegas. And so we come home, and my sweater, obviously it was snowing when we were there as well. My sweater has ash. Like, it's ash. It's not like, so
Mhm.
it's snow and it lands, it should melt, right? It shouldn't leave a trace behind. But there
Yeah.
was ash all over my sweater. And I'm like, well, this is weird. And I didn't realize it until I got in the car, because I figured maybe it snowed will melt, but it wasn't melting. And in my hair, there was like salt. The snow turned into salt. And I heard of like acid rain and a bunch of stuff, and I don't know too much about that. I just know that it was in an accident to drive to the mountains, as beautiful as it was, and there was like horses in the middle of the freaking street saying hello to us, like in the car. I gotta post those pictures, so cute. But they were wild horses, and they were just kind of all there. But I just thought it was weird because I scratched my head, and it was literally like I had poured rock salt on my head, and I didn't do that. And my sweater looked like that. And so in the past, that would kind of freak me out, because I would reach very far into it and was like, oh my gosh, what is this? And then the amount of snow was ridiculous, Angela. Like, it didn't even make sense. So I'm looking at it like, okay, I love that things and fears are being, I want to call them restructured, because the things that we were afraid of in the past, somehow we're going to build up this bravery, this, I don't want to say tolerance, but we're not going to be afraid of things. Yes, like Angela mentioned, new things might be coming in, but I think we're being equipped in a way where we're going to know that we're fine and we're taken care of as long as we continue to do the work. And I want to say that because the more you heal, the more you can overcome, go through, break through any obstacles. It's when we run away from healing because we don't want to expose ourselves that I think enables you, right? Like, I work with a lot of people who have, anxiety, and I literally create, exposure therapy. They have to face it. They have to be very creative. You can't just be fearful of not being able to control things, but how are you going to allow the anxiety to come in and you redirect it? Because you have to heal it up. And the only way to do it, you guys, is to go through it. Maybe we've run for a long time, but now it's kind of like, nope, can't run anymore. Oh, there's no more doors. You have to go forward. And it's creepy. But the more you expose yourself to your things and say, you know what, I don't want to be controlled by these things anymore. And it could be not washing your hands. It could be, fearing someone's going to get hurt, all that good stuff, right? They have different levels of extreme. The thing is, if we continue to just kind of close our eyes, you will be affected by the things that are going to be used to freak you out. You will find that you cannot hold on as well as you used to, or that you won't care as long as you used to, or whatever. So I'm going to encourage you guys to really sit with yourself and say, what is it in me that somebody can use to manipulate me, to freak me out? I've actually had my clients write this down that night when we were doing our new moon thing. Is I wrote down, write down any of your fears. And they were kind of like, I said, anything. I don't care how petty you think it is, how large or whatever. I need you to do this. And they're all kind of looking at me weird. I said, if anyone can use anything against you, what would it be? And they're like, oh, so now they're writing things down, right? And I said, because I want you guys to be in a place where no matter what they can use, that you know you're going to be okay. And the only way any of us have ever been able to do that is to expose ourselves and to heal the things that would literally bring us down. And so I would rather do it on my own free will and have a tantrum for, a couple minutes or whatever, maybe a little bit longer, than to be forced to face it. Because that's what I see happening, Angela. Like, if we don't do this voluntarily, it will be forced on us. And I don't like to be forced to do anything. So yeah.
Well, that's where the fear gets created, right? Is when you're forced to do something. So it's a great way to, thank you for bringing that up, because that's a great way to move into what is it that you are afraid of? Like, what are the things that someone or something out there can be used to force you or to make you into somebody you're not? Like, really, that's powerful. And that's where I think you can gain your own power. You can empower yourself by knowing what your fears are and then transforming them. Like, why do you have to be afraid of them any longer? Like, here's the thing about transformation and of fears is once you acknowledge them, they generally disappear.
Yeah, they do. Seriously, you guys, they disappear. I love to teach worst case scenario, Angela, especially when I have clients that have been prone to anxiety. Oh my God, but what is it? Okay, let's say it does happen. And they're like, don't say that. I'm like, no, instead of it creeping up on you, let's go and get it. Let's say that it does happen. And worst case scenario, this is whatever. How are you going to handle it? Now we're working on visualization. So exposure, you visualize, you problem solve, and you go through all the crappy feelings that come through experiencing that. But guess what? We just envisioned it. So what happens is you break through. There's something called Cartesian logic where you ask yourself these questions, and I'll post that in the comments. But when you go and you say, okay, I'm scared that X, Y, Z, Y. Okay, so if it does happen, what would you do? I don't want to think about it. No. Because you'll be surprised how many people have healed, have recovered, have, reversed all those symptoms because they did a visualization, just talking about it, Angela. And all of a sudden, they're not afraid anymore. And they're like, how did that happen? I said, because you're the freaking boss. That's why. But if you're hiding under the blankets on your life and you don't allow that to come in, how do you even know, how strong you are? Because most people think they're not strong, Angela, because they were told they weren't. Right. Or because something happened and they had no direction and they handled it a certain way. And there's, oh, well, because I did that. Well, yeah, but if it brought up again, like, would you handle it differently? They're like, yeah, but because now you have wisdom you didn't have in the past. But this goes back to we're responding off of previous trauma, you guys, whether it's conscious or not. And that's another thing. Like, many people who have experienced traumas, I have people that put walls up and they can't remember a damn thing. But now they're starting to remember. And they're like, I never thought about it. I'm like 40, 50, 60 years old. And I'm thinking about when I was 2 and 3.
Sooner or later, it will come up.
It's going to come up, you guys. And I know it's going to come up more now. And again, it's not to wear you guys out. It's just a heads up. It's an awareness. And there are ways to heal it very quickly. But I do agree with Angela. The only way for us to heal it up, you guys, is to bring them up and freaking go through it, or take its power. Take the power you've given it. Take it away. Because you need that power for you. Like, there's people that are, go over there, fuel that person with gas. I said, gas is pricey right now, so fuel you with all your gas. And so if there have fears that you've been feeding gas to, or, fueling or whatever, you better bring it all back because you need it for you. Right now, you need all your energy. You need your spirit to be aligned. And anything that comes up, you'll handle it accordingly. But I want to tell you, the majority of people, what ifs, they live in the what ifs and things never happen. But like I said, I want to create the what if as a reality and let you know that you're strong enough to handle it no matter what. And if not, the answers will come. That's what's happening right now. There's just automatic, like anything that comes up right now, it's automatically going to fix itself. as long as you give it the time of day, especially if you've been tucking it away. Because I know those of you hearing, many of you, that's your response. You just tuck things away. And I know that because I used to do that forever. You
Well,
just,
it's not actually even going to be an option pretty soon because with the deconstruction and reconstruction of the amygdala, that was all about fight, flight, or freeze, right? And if that isn't supported, there's nothing there. That foundation isn't there any longer. What are you going to do? There's no option but to work through, whatever it is that creates fear within us, or anxieties, or any of it, right? Like, or an understanding of who you are, for example. Like, there's like you can't hide from it any longer. You can't fight with it any longer, and you can't just freeze yourself to death. So, right? So
try.
yeah, the only option is to bring it up and to process through it, if that's what you need, or to hire somebody to help you heal it. However it works for you, it needs to work, because that's what Pluto's here to bring up, the underworld. It's here to bring us new insights into who we are. That's the beauty of it. But there's a lot of drama out there right now in the world that says, oh, we have to be so afraid of Pluto energy, and we have to be so afraid of ourselves, and we have to be so afraid of the elitists, and we have to be so afraid of seeding of the clouds. Well, we have to be afraid of our water systems. Well, start boiling water if you're have to.
Yeah.
We just do what we have to do to change things. I mean, that's really what we're here talking about today, is the destruction of, or the deconstruction of the amygdala. It gives us the opportunity to change things for the better, not for the worse.
Yeah, it is for the better. I think because we have so much fear around, what if I'm vulnerable and I do, and it comes back and bites me in the butt? And it's like, well, that's a chance you're going to have to take. We know it's going to move you further along, but you have to experience that for yourself, right? Because nobody wants to feel uncomfortable. It's like, why? But I know if you are being weirded out, or if you're feeling a little fear around us just talking about it, that lets you know right there that's something that you got to take care of, right? So the intention is not to bring up fear, it's to bring up the awareness of what you need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us are like, oh, I've done so much healing. Yeah, but guess what? It never stops.
No.
Like, once you jump on this journey, you guys, and I remember being mad about it for a long time. And I'm, well, how cool. I get to continue to learn. So I had to change my perspective on it, And for those of you that have done the work, you guys, I want to applaud you and pat you on the back. And I want to encourage you to use whatever helped you get to where you are to continue to fuel you forward. And if you see that you're going a little slower or whatever, it might be time for new tools, new instruction, new revelations, whatever. But I never want to be like, yeah, you've gotten as far as you did, you're done. That would be total disservice to you for me to say that, because it is something that I encourage you. Like, sometimes I'm like, wow, you're so mean, coach. I'm like, look, I want to applaud you for where you've gone, how far you've come, because I know where you've been. But damn it, we got somewhere to go. We still got somewhere to go. Take a breather, get it together, and tie up your laces, and let's keep it pushing,
Well, it would be like with my experience on Sunday of the inauthentic self, like, was there a little bit of knowledge that I haven't been actually using my full power? Absolutely. Although at the same time, I didn't really know what that meant, what it looked like, and then, you get into those sort of ruts, I want to call them, and where you just like, I just don't really, I don't even know where to go. And I think that we've been in that space for quite some time now. But I think things are going to start moving here very rapidly, very quickly, and acknowledging those places that we do need to change in order to be in self-mastery, self-actualization. Like, this is where we're moving as a conscious human society. We're moving into these spaces of self-mastery because we can't be kids any longer. We're past the 4th grade stage. It's time to move into, at least high school, if not college or beyond. And this is where the energies are really pushing us right now. So
I love it.
yeah.
Well, I know you have an offering right now, Angela, and I want to share that with the Pluto. Like, you have a Pluto offering right now. Could you share a little bit about what that is and how you're going to guide people through? Because I know I've seen the post, but for those people who either don't know you or want to have an idea of what it looks like, can you share that with us, please?
Yes. So it's called the Pluto Experience, and it's held in a group in Facebook, and we are experiencing all Pluto, like everything Pluto. And that means working through our shadow side. That means how does it align with Aquarius when in bringing in the whole consciousness or the whole community of the world. It means finding probably new soul groups, because we were definitely moving into that where people just aren't aligning with each other any longer. And, we get to have the experience of moving into something deeper, deeper meanings of life, which is all about Pluto. Pluto talks about almost every area of our life, relationships, wealth in particular, innovation, like that's all about Pluto. So the group is really there to learn about how to move through these energies and to support each other. So that's really kind of fun. Today we started with the history of Pluto and what happens when Pluto energy does come into the world, and every generation has details that they work on within the consciousness, within the community at large. And how are we going to, like, what's the new, what's the new thing to work on for the conscious field? Because if you look back in history with this kind of energy, like there are significant things that every generation has worked through. And you can tell every single time that Pluto comes in. So
Yeah.
it's fun. I
It's
love Pluto energy.
somebody like, why would I want to learn? It's like some of us really want to learn. Like we just want to learn stuff. So
Yeah.
if it's for you, if that's something you'd like to do and you'd like to be in a community of people that are learning about that, it's going to stay here for a while. So kind of get an idea of what that looks like, how that may show up in your life and all that good stuff. So definitely look into that experience and see. We are also wanting to share that we are providing group support for this type of transition as well. The things that may be coming up. And, I saw a quote yesterday, like I talk to people and they hang out with certain people or whatever. They're still in the like, oh, well, they have issues, but I like to hang out. And I saw this quote yesterday. It says, distance yourself from the people that you don't want to become. And I think, isn't that what we're all kind of being called to do right now? And it's not about judgment and being better than anybody else, but I really think that if we're hanging out with people and they're not pouring into us, and I've had to experience this the majority of my life, like I'll have friendships and like, okay, yeah, they don't pour into me anymore. And it's not like, oh my God, they're not my friend anymore, but it's just kind of like, they don't challenge me to grow or I get too comfortable or something, And that's how we talk about tribes and how important it is to be in a support system. But if you're hanging out with people that you don't want to become, I'm going to challenge you to ask yourselves how much time you want to spend doing that. And time is weird right now too. That's another thing we got to touch on, the way time is being experienced right now. But if you find yourself going and hanging out and doing things that aren't really feeding your soul, you're not growing. It's time for a different classroom, And we always talk about being grateful for the experience that you had with these individuals, but you need to fill up your time and allow your energy to be expressed in places where you can actually, it's kind of like a field, right? Where you actually plant them in this soil that's going to nurture what it is that needs to happen. And you have this tribe kind of helping you, water these seeds and do what you have to do, because the things that are happening are very different. And I know I have a client support team where it's kind of like, I can't talk to anybody else about this. And you can talk to them about it, but they're going to look at you like you're freaking psycho. You can talk to them about it, but it's going to be a different reaction. So I think that that's also a thing that it's worked for a while, Angela, but it's not going to be working. A lot of people are falling away. And I mean, not to be like, okay, well, their family just doesn't feel that need anymore. And of course, they still love them, but they just feel this need to grow and learn and want to like be a part of something bigger. And it's because a lot of us are signing up for this new shift that's taking place, and we want to learn and grow and understand what's happening. I do know we talked about last week how there's this safety net in place where you really can't go back to the old ways of doing things. And I literally got slapped in the face. I want to say it was Monday or Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday, where somebody didn't ask me for help. And here I am, just like you, teaching, leave people alone and focus on yourself, whatever. And it was somebody very close to me that didn't need me to do what I did, but I did it. And then I found myself getting very bitter about the reaction that was given. And so I had this certain expectation. I don't know what it was, but I remember feeling so frustrated because I felt like I dipped my toes into the old way of being. And it wasn't even that big a deal, but oh my God, I tried to do something, and the minute I felt those emotions, I felt like literally something like there was like an electric charge given to my head, Angela. Like it was like zap, like literally, and it was kind of like, don't do that. And I'm like, oh my, so I'm pissed because I'm like, why the hell do you think you could even touch me like that? Whoever the hell did that, right? Number two, I said, holy shit, I ate my words because I did say that and I do believe it. But it was so intense. Like, do you understand why you don't do this anymore? Do you understand why you leave this person alone? Do you But first, it was like they zapped the crap out of my head. And I'm like, I've given my power away. How can somebody do that? But I'm like, wait a minute. If I'm stepping in and volunteering to do all these things, and I'm allowing myself to be rewired in a way where I'm going to be able to kick butt and do whatever, they were like, and I don't know who they are, you guys. I'll be honest with you. They were like, we don't do that anymore. And maybe if I hadn't had that physical experience, I would have probably passed it up and been like, oh, that's not a big deal. But it literally brought me to tears because I was frustrated. It was painful. It was painful for a few seconds. And then I had my WTF moment. And then I sat there and I cried and I said, what was that? And then I started getting pictures of how things linked together and how I used to do things back in the day and how that is no longer being sustained. It's not being supported anymore. And I told my client about it. I had clients on Tuesday. They're like, well, yep, you got to go through it first, and then so then when they go through it, I'll be like, so I'll share my experience and be like, don't do it. They're gonna shock the crap out of your head. No, but it did happen that way. So I know that we talked about in leadership sometimes, and we were how weirded out how a lot of the stuff is like what's happening. But I know that sometimes we'll experience things first and be like, see, so don't do that, and make sure you share that even though we're not going to go and shock people in the head, the way it happened with me, it's proof to me that it's not going to be supported, you guys. I literally tried to do something I did for a long time and I hadn't done for a while, Angela. And when it happened, it was a holy crap. Like, what shit. Like, it was just, I don't even know what to think or feel. So I just sat there and allowed myself to cry because I had the head pressure. I was emotional about what had happened and said, oh my God, they're not messing around. Like, we're literally going to be prevented from doing things that just don't work anymore. So
yeah, I think that that's probably the seriousness of, like, we try to make things light and all of that, but honestly, we're in serious times here. I think we need to buckle up and say, oh, okay, these are things that I cannot do any longer. These are things that really do not serve me or humanity. And I think that that's the portion that you experience. Sorry, not sorry. But
part of me, I'm like, that's what you get, but I was kind of like, still be graceful. It's crazy, you guys, because you're like, great, what the hell? Oh, thank you. Don't do it again,
Exactly.
That's what I'm talking about. You can tell people, but it's kind of like, oh, maybe you don't want to tell people.
Right.
What's wrong with you, and that's okay. Renee, thank you so much for your beautiful comment. Thank you so much. We love being here with you guys. Please feel free to ask any questions. We're going to be here for a few more minutes. I know it's a lot of information. We love to just have like a conversation. And again, it's about helping you guys relate it to your lives. You're not alone. We're experiencing some stuff. And I literally I asked somebody, can there be turtles and like walk slow, like tippy toe and hide every time we freak out? Or, kind of be like, okay, what do I need to expose myself to? What needs to happen so I can transform whatever the heck this is? Because it's not gonna take power over me. We've been living under, all this manipulation for so long, you guys.
Yeah.
No more.
And I don't know about any of you, but I'm sick and tired of trying to be manipulated and controlled and dominated. Like, that is not who I am. That's the part of me, I think, that was very clear on Sunday was, okay, you have to stop agreeing or participating. It wasn't agreeing. It was participating in the domination and control because, the last several years have been all about that. And I've just been like at my wit's end because it's like, oh my gosh, this is just domination and control again. It became very clear of my inauthenticity was that I was actually participating in the game. And I was like, okay, I get that. I probably, not doing nothing is participating in the game. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I gotta change that.
Thank you for sharing that. I was gonna ask you, like, how did you know that you were participating. And you've just said I felt like I was doing nothing. Some of us can feel like it, but there's a lot of us really not doing anything, that we're hoping that
Exactly.
we're just going to do this and it's going to pass by. And you know what? I've tried that.
Yeah.
God knows I tried hiding. Yeah, no.
And I think of the other portion of that was like I'm a bit vocal about that, but I'm vocal to my clients or my family or friends or whatever. But I'm not vocal on a bigger scale, and I think that's probably where I'm being pulled towards. Is to be very vocal on a bigger scale about domination and control, because that stuff just really, like, oh gosh, I don't even know. Don't even get me started. That's a whole different podcast.
That's a whole different podcast. But it's a lot of you are probably wondering, like, how do I get involved? What do I do? Yes, I've kind of felt like I've been called to do something, whatever. That's when we recommend the daily practices. Like,
Mhm.
I use crystals a lot to just kind of be on me, like all the time, to remind me to stay at a higher frequency. I know I'm more powerful than these crystals. They're reminders, and they encourage me to actually challenge me, because I'm wearing them and stuff, to like, hey, raise your vibration, do what you have to do, like be who you need to be for that moment, but go ahead and reassess as soon as you can and get it together. I also use essential oils, which also have higher frequencies. I've been using like a chi machine on a daily that I found on Amazon, not pricey at all, and that helps me move my energy. Because I'll be honest with you, I'd love to tell you that I'm making time to go walk and exercise and move my body. Mm, no. And so transparency, right? No, it's not that it's not important, but what I'm not doing is creating a routine that I'm not going to follow, or setting myself up to fail. Because before I'd be like, oh my God, what? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, whatever. And then I would fall short. And I found that there was a lot of judgment that came. So with that machine, I'll lay there for 15 minutes and it has my ankles, and it just kind of moves my body in this figure eight, and it helps move my energy around. Staying hydrated is so important, you guys. Look for more alkaline things to take in. Lemon water is really good. Cinnamon water is really good. Eat whatever you want. I eat whatever I want. I don't tell people, oh, just focus on high vibrational food. I don't do that, because I don't do it because I don't do it. I don't say it because I don't do it. So if I want a burger or whatever, I eat it. I used to be of the belief system, and Angela snapped me out of it really quick, that I had to have all whole foods and high vibrational food. And yes, of course, it's a great thing, but I thought my intuition was stronger if I ate healthier. So if I didn't eat healthy, what was the belief system? I couldn't be of service, and my intuition was going
Yeah.
to be off. And it was, because I believed it.
Yeah.
So Angela's like, why do you think just because you eat whatever that you're going to have a higher vibration or be more intentional or have higher intuition? I'm like, I don't know, because of the stupid things I've been looking at. And of course, she gave me a look like, duh.
Society's been telling you that.
Exactly. So if
Yeah.
you think you have to get it together on all levels of your life, it's a damn lie.
Yeah.
Start with one thing. I'll start one thing, and then I'll let it go for a while until it becomes more of a less of a habit and I like it. It's not torture. And then I'll add something else. So a lot of you can just tap in and say, what have I been wanting to try or do or whatever, and don't count about how many days you've been consistent. Just do it. So spend that time to ask yourself, what do I need? What's going to make me feel more whole? What do I need to stop doing? Because that's also very important, Angela. A lot of people have been in this
Mhm.
routine, and that's something that's also kind of like dying off, because some routines just aren't working anymore. So instead of being fearful, like, oh my gosh, it doesn't work anymore, just look for different things, you guys. Breathing.
Well, yeah, I think the new way of being is really like creating your own lifestyle. Like, what is it that you want in your life? Like for me, like we grow our own food because I came from that farmer kind of background. I understand how it works. I know it. I love growing our own food, so that's the lifestyle I think that we enjoy doing, that I enjoy for sure. I enjoy it. I have seeds started already.
That's
I have a greenhouse, that I grow all my stuff in. And so it's really moving forward. I think it's you creating your lifestyle the way you see fit, the way that your body like thrives, the way that your emotions sort of harmonize, the way that you can work with the nature and be, in the cosmic field without, thinking that you have to be something else, not comparing yourself to society or what the rules of domination and control are. Um, I think that was really another awareness that came in this week is what lifestyle are you creating? Because the way I look when I look into the future and with all the reconstruction of um, how we're moving forward, the reconstruction of the new consciousness. It's not that we're moving from one consciousness 3D to 5D. We've already broken that paradigm. It's us creating a new consciousness for humanity that fits the larger picture, the bigger sum of humanity, and creating a lifestyle. Your lifestyle is what's going to connect you with your new soul family. I think that's an important component moving forward and part of the reason why the amygdala has to break down is to get rid of all of our fears and anxieties and biases is so that we can actually open ourselves up to, oh, wait, this is who I connect with now.
Yeah.
So we don't have those weird things going on. No more fears. That's
No more weird things.
it's
Yeah.
too much.
And I love how you said that it's going to be different for everybody. Don't expect your lifestyle to look like anybody else's. I've had people talking in our groups like, oh, wow, I just feel like that person's further along than me. It's like, how? If we're not on the same, we all have this job to do, right? So it's like, I'm here, you're there, and we're all kind of in different places, but we get caught up in how we're supposed to be and how much we're contributing. Well, I didn't have dreams like we had this get together. Why did I have dreams? Well, you're not supposed to have dreams. And this person's over there casting spells and dreams. And so we're all kind of talking, and I get people like, oh, I'm not doing that. So you don't have the same gifts that person does because you're supposed to contribute differently. What good would it be if we're all the same? If we all have the same mission, but we do that in society. We compare ourselves. That person here, that whatever. Like I had people that have issues with food or whatever, and we start healing up the reasons why. And one of my clients that day, she goes, yeah, I just hate that I can't eat whatever. I said, you eat whatever the hell you want. And we have this group text, and she just texts a bag of like McDonald's food. She goes, you're living my best life, And I'm like, see, and there doesn't have to be any guilt around that. Who cares if it's good food or if it's not? You can alchemize whatever that is. But I tell people all the time when they have those challenges, Angela, if you're sitting there like, I shouldn't be eating this. This is so bad. Well, you're already freaking cursing your food. So it starts if you have around it what they told you. It's going to make me fat. Well, guess what? It's going to. Just like Angela said, why do you think that just because you eat raw food, you're going to be, higher intuitive, whatever? And I'm like, and I couldn't even answer that. Honestly, well, actually, the answer was because that's what I've read, that's what I've seen. And so the minute I changed it, a lot of things started changing in my life, my health, everything. And I eat whatever I want. But there's so many of us, you guys, wrapped up in thinking we can't be these good examples because our lifestyles don't reflect it. And so I think that's going to come up for people a lot this week, Angela, is their choices, like you mentioned. A lot of it has to do with things that you beat yourself up for later. That has to stop, you guys. So if it is something like food and you're mad because you ate it and now there's this vicious cycle as you go because you have this trauma or whatever emotion and you don't want to think about it, so you go and you get something to eat and then you eat it like, oh my gosh, why did I eat that? And then this ugly cycle is taking place. And I keep seeing the death of that too. So if you're going to eat something, eat it. If you're going to go grab something that you think you should, oops, start, reset. Just reset, you guys. Keep resetting. I promise you the revelation of how to handle those things will be revealed to you. It's going to happen. You just can't get so desperate to want to know the answers, because when we want it so bad, we talk about manifestation, right? Like if you want something so bad and you're holding on to it so tightly and the energy wants to give it to you, it really comes around and sees your hands are full, so it thinks you already have it. It literally passes you up. And so there's information that Angela and I are getting on a daily, weekly, monthly, whatever basis, and we'll get caught up on what's going to happen next. And we had talked about, I don't want to know if I can apply it right now because I'll get too distracted and I won't pay attention to the daily things I'm supposed to be doing to adapt to whatever energy is happening right now. Like I looked at my astrology today, and there's like 10 things happening today. And I'm like, holy crap, do I even want to read them? Because it's going to feel like work. So I'm just not going to read them. I'm going to honor that it's going to happen. I'm going to set the intention that things come up to reveal and I heal, but I don't want to sit there and read them because I think it's going to play a role in me thinking that things have to go a certain way. And it's more just like a forecast, right? Like what you do on Mondays, Angela does this cosmic forecast where she taps into the energies of what the weeks are going to look like. And she shares, hey, this will be beneficial if you want to do that. It will support this. It's not going to support that anymore. But she's like, don't go outside. It's going to rain. And, she doesn't do that. And people who do talk about astrology. And that's why we want to you guys to be careful who you're listening to, because they will instill that fear. And even though I want you guys to feel the experience the fear, be careful that it's not somebody who's trying to make you believe a certain way. And you can tell because you'll feel uncomfortable right away. It'll just, your whole body will be like, oh. I've had people like with confirmations, like, I got the chills when you said that. Oh my God, I got a tingling in my head. But never like, holy crap, I'm gonna die. Like, so pay attention to how your body responds with information and create your own world, you guys. Create your own life. Write down things. Again, I want to encourage you guys to write down your fears, because even that's scary. Like, oh my God, I don't want to bring them up because I give them life. It's like, no, you're telling them, I'm here to get you, suckers. And I don't know when I'm going to have my day with you, but I'm going to be ready. And so that kind of sets you up to start empowering yourself and to build up the energy to expose yourself to those things. And I promise you, it's not going to be as hard as you thought it was going to be, and say, oh my God, all that time I was afraid and it was just this. Uncomfortable? Yeah. Not that serious sometimes. Case by case, but the majority of you guys, you'll be surprised. But we'd love for you guys to reach out. Again, there's groups, there's programs happening, there's mentorship. We're doing Voxer as well. And I had no idea what Voxer was until Angela kind of shared that it's like a walkie-talkie type of experience. So, we have our clients and we're kind of doing our things, but if you guys have questions or whatever, you can literally message us, either a text message or a voice, and ask a question or whatever if you're having a moment, and we'll get back to you guys with, some encouraging ways of maybe getting out of a situation or looking at things differently. We can set you a whole bunch of energy, like empower you, all that good stuff. So this, there's so much that we can do through that, because life is busy and we get it. And we want to make sure that even though we have things going on, that we provide that type of support for you guys. I'm doing one-on-one sessions as well with clients, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever that looks like for you guys. So reach out if you guys want more information on any of those two things. Okay, Angela, what am I missing? What else do we want to share? We could talk forever.
Yeah, we could. But I think the energy about the amygdala is fairly complete. I think, just the awareness that things are changing within us, and expect not to have fight or flight too much longer. I don't think it's going to last past June the way it looks to me.
Yeah.
So start transforming. That's the other thing, is let yourself transform. Like, really let yourself move with the energies that are beckoning us, literally beckoning us to change.
There's a quick vision that I got. You've seen people that want to fight and somebody's holding them back. They're like, I'm gonna catch you, and like a friend's holding them back, and they're like, you're lucky, someone's holding me back. And then there's also where you've seen where nobody's holding them back. They're like, crap, I'm not being held back. So that's kind of like, I see that vision, like, we're still used to be like, something's holding me back, whatever. And now it's gonna be like, crap, something's holding me back. That means I have to actually look at it and face it and do what I gotta do, But that's more coming in for me and for the people that I've been working with. It's like, crap, like I literally, there's nothing holding me back anymore. And it's like, yep, I'll be here cheering you up. And then we'll cry later, or we'll talk about it later, or whatever. But there's a strength in numbers, you guys. And I want to let you know you are not alone. We love you guys, and we love sharing our challenges with you guys. I know I've been loving the transparency, because a lot of times you feel weird sharing when you're supposed to be leading. And to me, it's been very empowering. I even had a session on Tuesday, and I was kind of having that whole brain thing, and I'm literally crying in a session. And so my client's like, no, don't forget you're also human. And she's freaking coaching me. And I'm like, do I pay you for the session this time? But I would have never done that before, Angela. I would have thought that I had to be like too strong or whatever, but I'm literally crying and I couldn't stop. And there was a head pain and the frustration. There was a whole bunch of stuff. The timing was just off, I can say. But there was this liberty that came from that. And when I told her, so do I pay you for the session today? And she's cracking up and just, reminding me, you're human, you're experiencing stuff. This is all new for all of us. And it just felt so nice, Angela, to be able to share that with her, because she knew what was happening. She had an idea. She was experiencing the same thing. And it was just so comforting to know that I wasn't alone, right? Even though I don't mind being alone, it was nice that I didn't feel alone in my pain and my suffering, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
So fun.
For sure.
I'm all fun stuff. We are having so much fun on this live, as usual when we chat. So we're hoping that you guys will ask more questions next time we're on here. Write us in. We have our emails on the screen. They're also in the description. We are going to be here every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific and 1 o'clock Central. So again, if you guys have comments, you can message us. Our information is there. We'd love to hear from you guys. If you guys want to talk more about things that you guys have going on and you want to remain anonymous, we also do that as well. So confidentiality is a beautiful thing for us as well. So yay. Enjoy your day, everybody. Angela, anything else you'd like to share?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. All right.
Thanks everyone for joining us.
Bye guys. Love you. Have an amazing